Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. There's been many false starts when it comes to Star Wars. I'm sure you're aware. One of them was David Benioff and Dan Weiss, the individuals who worked on Game of Thrones. This is potentially one of the funniest, not the funniest. I'm sure that probably goes to Rian Johnson. But this false start is funny for a few reasons, because they jumped off the final season of Game of Thrones, rushed it basically, so they could start this Star Wars trilogy. Never happened, of course. And we never really learned much about it. But we do now. They've come out and revealed stuff. And oh my god, is it funny. And creatively bankrupt and also a little bit demoralising. You'll die inside a little bit. Just a little bit. Yes, there's a dog on my lap. Just thought I'd mention that, because I'm sure it seems a bit weird me making a video without mentioning it. But he wants a cuddle, so who am I to deny a dog? Anyway, so let's take a look, shall we? David Benioff and Dan Weiss reveal their shelved Star Wars idea was the first Jedi. That sounds a fucking lot like the James Mangold movie, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Are Lucasfilm just rinse repeating ideas with every single director that they get to come through? Odd. This is quite odd, not gonna lie. Quite odd. So we'll dive into this today. Hit subscribe if you're new here, turn the bell notifications on, leave your instant thoughts down below before we dive into the article. It's funny. Oh god. Again, like I said, I think it's the fact that we now know that they're just rinse repeating ideas non-stop. I got a real problem with that. So what was David Benioff and Dan Weiss's shelved Star Wars movie about? The Game of Thrones creators opened up about their efforts to make a Star Wars movie in this week's The Hollywood Reporter's cover story about their upcoming Netflix sci-fi epic Three Body Problem? Never heard of that. Which they created along with True Blood writer-producer Alexander Wu. The producers also discussed the backlash to Thrones' final season, because it was dog shit. Their short-lived Confederate idea, their three-body producer's bizarre Breaking Bad-inspired murder, and the many challenges that came from making their hugely ambitious new show. They're just doing they're doing a promo tour, guys. That's what they want you to know. So anyway, on the Star Wars front, the duo confirmed media reports from 2019 that they were looking at the early days of the Jedi, but added some details. We wanted to do the first Jedi. Basically, how the Jedi Order came to be, why it came to be, the first lightsaber. I've heard this before. I've heard this. I've heard this in recent reports. This is sounding awfully familiar. Awfully familiar, isn't it? Does it sound familiar to you? Does to me. Anyway, I'm bloody shocked, honestly. Oh, check out the creative bankruptcy here as well. And we're annoyed as hell when Rian Johnson called his movie The Last Jedi. He completely destroyed the obvious title for what we were working on. It was going to be called Star Wars The First Jedi. Just letting that sink in. These guys get paid millions of dollars to come up with such eloquent, just groundbreaking titles like The First Jedi. Fuck off. My dog just huffed as well. Good. That's how I feel. Anyway, asked what went wrong, Benioff says, Lucasfilm ended up not wanting to do a First Jedi story. Sorry. That is literally what they're doing now. That's quite literally what they're doing. We had a very specific story idea in mind, and ultimately they decided they didn't want to do that. And we totally get it. It's their company, their IP. But we weren't the droids they were looking for. The duo were far from the only ones that had their Star Wars movie taken away. Lucasfilm also decided against making Star Wars projects from top creatives like Kevin Feige, Patty Jenkins, Damon Lindelof, and countless other people. Yet Benioff and Weiss's overall concept still might happen. But even they announce it here, I can't believe it. Because last year, Lucasfilm announced the movie titled Dawn of the Jedi from James Mangold. I know there's a lot of me just looking in the camera because I'm in disbelief. I'm in disbelief at this nonsense. Why do these people get paid so much bloody money? This is just a rinse repeat job. I mean, look, ultimately, at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, there's no doubt in my mind that they got canned from this because of the backlash to do a Game of Thrones final season, right? But they rushed it. They jumped off of Game of Thrones, tried to rush it, stick the landing so they could move off to Lucasfilm, right? And they haven't really done anything since. It was a massive, massive mistake of theirs. They should have spent significant more time trying to flesh that out. Apparently the first lightsaber. But like I said, again, there's a lot of me just in disbelief because they're quite literally just recirculating ideas. They're just recirculating ideas. How it came to be, the first lightsaber, and then what? When was that announced? 2019, right? So 2019, then 5 years later, which is so weird to say, 5 years later, I guess technically 4, they announced that James Mangold's doing the same thing. How can you sit there with a straight face doing this interview? Very clearly, you were fired. Very, very clearly. But I mean, I don't have much else to say on it. I think what's so frustrating about this, right, is it categorically reveals to me anyway, and as it should to you as well, the creative bankruptcy within Hollywood. They are just reusing this idea, and it would be different if they didn't keep announcing it. That's the thing, right? I understand movies would have a concept in mind, and they're gonna work through story ideas until they can nail down that story to a project that they really want to send out, right? I get that. But Lucasfilm has this habit of consistently announcing projects that just don't actually happen. They've announced more movies and fired more people, or yeah, they've fired more people from movies and hired more people for movies than they have released films or something like that. I can't remember, but basically it's just nonsense. Don't announce a project unless it's ready to go. You're Lucasfilm. You don't need hype. You shouldn't do anyway. Probably do now. You do now, but you shouldn't have. Not back then. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so let me know down below. This is hilarious. Star Wars, The First Jedi. Subtitle, Creative Bankruptcy Knows No Bounds. Bullshit. Anyway, leave your thoughts down below. Give the video a like and a share. Take care. Bye-bye now.